Forge! Gang! I am still a hard man. I am your host, Imperator of Forge, otherwise known as Forge Warhammer. And I am here to talk about a subject that a lot of people don't really talk about, unless you read the Dragon Ball manga start to finish, which a dubhead usually doesn't do. Regardless, I'm going to talk about the Legend of Shenlong, or the Son Goku arc. You could also perhaps refer to this as the first Dragon Ball Hunt arc, or just the first Dragon Ball arc. Some people will sometimes put this in with the 21st Budokai. I think that it definitely should be put in its own category and its own thing entirely, because I don't really see how the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, the greatest under the heavens tournament, really has anything to do with this first story arc. So this is my thoughts and my reviews about this. I'm going to be talking about the manga version of this. This will not be from the anime. This will be from Akira Toriyama's manga and my thoughts about the manga version of this arc. So, my personal thoughts. Hey there, Code of Truth. Code of Truth, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was my favorite Zelda. Is that the one from 1998? The 3D? It's actually Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. I was pretty thrilled going into it, but when I finished reading the manga part of this arc, I felt a little bit disappointed. It felt kind of disappointing, and it felt very, how should I say, unfulfilling. It's no surprise that the anime version of this arc, the first Dragon Ball Hunt arc, when Goku and Bulma meet up and they travel around the world for the Dragon Balls for the first time, it's no surprise that this arc is usually compared to the Garlic Jr. arc, the Otherworld Tournament arc, or like one of the movies and stuff. Like, if I were to be given the choice of watching Bardock, the Bardock special, or the Future Trunks special, or even some of the movies over watching this, I would choose the Bardock or one of the movies over this arc, because I enjoyed the character interactions, but I did not really enjoy the fighting or the adventure themes of this arc. It felt kind of disappointing. Especially when Emperor Pilaf does finally show up, and he just, gets all the Dragon Balls and summons Shenron. It felt so incredibly blatantly stupid. Especially when Oolong wishes for a pair of women's panties. This is the first time that the Dragon God is summoned out of the 7 Dragon Balls. We went through... It's not a very long quest. All that work that Bulma and Goku did for the Dragon Balls, and Oolong gets a pair of panties, and they have to wait for 1 year for the Dragon Balls to not be stone. and then Goku has to go get his grandpa Gohan's 4-star ball. You know, it does help to set the tone for later, but it just felt so underwhelming. It was a disappointment. I gotta say that the Emperor Pilaf arc is a disappointment for me. So, real quickly, I just want to go over my thoughts about this story arc. It constitutes the first 25 chapters in Akira Toriyama's manga and the first 13 episodes of the Dragon Ball anime, 1986 to 1989. I will not be talking about the Lunch and Krillin stuff at the end of the second volume. I will only be talking about the first arc. It was a letdown. The storytelling wasn't great, and it just felt so underwhelming. It's like, it's a real wonder that Dragon Ball did not fail because of this arc. The Emperor Pilaf arc of Dragon Ball is one of the least favorited and least well-remembered story arcs in classic Dragon Ball. And it's no surprise, because it does good at the beginning. I enjoyed the Goku and Yamcha fight. I really enjoyed it when Roshi fired the Kamehameha for the first time, and then Goku fired his own little miniature version of it. But that was it. The summoning of Shenlong the dragon was terrible. Like, there weren't even storm clouds. You know how in the anime, whenever the dragon is summoned, the storm clouds gather and there's lightning and stuff? Well, in the manga, the first time that Shenlong is summoned, none of that. The dragon just pops out of the Dragon Balls when he's called, and they have their wish, and then you kind of just see the dragon dissipate and the Dragon Balls scatter and turn to stone. And there's no storm clouds or nothing like that. You can see the moon, you can see the stars, everything. And the dragon is also pretty small. You know how, like, when they summon the dragon, he's really big. Like, he's like the size of a skyscraper building. Or like, at least the size of a turbojet. Well, the dragon was like the size of a flat truck. Like, the dragon is just kind of about the size of maybe a tree at this point. Even the details of the horns are not really that precise. Like, I can tell that Akira Toriyama did not really put a lot of thinking into that. The Ozaru transformation was okay. I still think that the first Kamehameha firing was better than either the dragon or the Ozaru. And there isn't really much from the Ozaru form. In fact, there's only just one panel for the transformation, and that's it. And Goku has a grade 8. He doesn't really do much of anything. Another thing, too, that I found disappointing about the manga version of this arc, you know how Dragon Ball is so central to fighting and martial arts and ki blasts? There is no fighting in this first arc. There really was no fighting. In fact, there was actually a lot more talking and capsule throwing around than there were clashing of fists, fisticuffs, and like punching and kicking and martial arts. If anything, it felt like the people that knew martial arts were actually less competent than those who don't know martial arts. And Bulma has more lines than Goku does. Like, you kind of feel that Bulma and Yamcha are the real brains of the outfit. Like, Bulma has a lot of sense, and she's really smart, and Goku is like this goofball that doesn't really know anything. Goku keeps getting things wrong. He touches people's private parts. It's very weird. And there's a lot of adult jokes in the first arc. It's kind of a letdown for me. I was really disappointed by it. I felt that, reading through it, that it was going to be better than that. But if I were to give you the choice of watching the Garlic Jr. arc between the Frieza and the Androids arc and this, I would tell you to watch the Garlic Jr. arc. Like, I would recommend you to watch the Garlic Jr. arc over this. This is not really that good of a story arc. It's so disappointing. So, what happened? Well, what is going on? What is the breakdown? I'm not going to cover every single detail. I feel that would be a waste of time. But I will, kind of very quickly give a very brief breakdown about what goes on in the Emperor Pilaf arc. I don't even know why they call it in the dub the Emperor Pilaf arc, because Emperor Pilaf doesn't even appear until a little bit later. Like, I know that in the anime, Pilaf is in the first episode, I get that, but in the manga, he only appears when they're already about to find the last Dragon Ball. Like, he only comes along later. So, the story is that Goku lives alone in the woods, and he lives in his grandpa Gohan's house, and he's got this ball thing that glows sometimes and makes weird noises. You got a girl from the city named Bulma, who is purple-haired in the manga and blue-haired in the anime. And she's got the radar. She has 2 Dragon Balls. They have a run-in with each other, and they talk and stuff. And Goku is very ignorant of the outside world. And Bulma tells him about the Dragon Balls and stuff and what the dragon can do. She tells him that many centuries ago, an emperor or someone used the Dragon Balls to wish to become the king of the world. That's the only time that that's ever referenced in the manga, by the way. She doesn't say that in the anime version. So Goku gets excited, and he goes with Bulma, and she gets taken by a pterodactyl, and Goku uses his grandfather's Noibo to extend and detract a magical pole that Sun Wukong has from Journey to the West, and saves Bulma. And then they go into this little place in the woods, and they have a house and stuff, and they talk about Goku's mysterious tail. Goku has a monkey tail for some reason, and the next day, Goku finds a turtle that talks. They take him to the sea, and that's where they meet Mutant Roshi, Master Roshi, and he has a Dragon Ball. Goku gets the flying Kento-un, has a reward for bringing Turtle back to Roshi. And then Bulma gets the Dragon Ball from Roshi. I am not going to tell you how Bulma gets Roshi's Dragon Ball, but he thought it was a piece of junk. I'm not going to get into every detail about what goes on in the first story arc. They go to this village that is under duress from Oolong the Tyrant, or Oolong the Great. the terrible, ruthless Oolong, who is a shape-shifting Oni. They find out that Oolong can only shapeshift for 5 minutes and not more. And so they find the girls that Oolong kidnapped, and they save the villagers, and so they get another Dragon Ball. Bulma gets one of the villagers' Dragon Balls, and Oolong comes with them. Oolong tries to escape, so Bulma tricks him into eating some candy that makes him poop whenever she says a certain word, and he basically becomes her slave. Then they lose all their capsules, and they lose their only way to get around, so they wander through a desert. And that's when Yamcha, the desert bandit, and Puar show up, and Goku fights them, and Yamcha is very shy of women, so he has to find an impromptu way of getting their capsules. Oolong gets Goku and Bulma to drink sleeping medicine because Oolong wants to do things, perverted things with Bulma's body. I'm not going to get into details with that. And then Yamcha and Puar want to get the Dragon Balls. They don't know that they need 7 Dragon Balls to make the wish. Bulma wants to wish for a boyfriend. Yamcha wants to wish to not be shy around women. And Oolong wants to get certain stuff too, and Goku just wants to see the dragon. Anyways, Puar and Oolong shapeshift into Bulma and Goku, and they trick each other. Yamcha sees Bulma's boobs and freaks out from that and runs away. And they come back and fire a Panzerfaust at Oolong's double bus or whatever. Double-decker bus with a Panzerfaust. Goku and Yamcha fight again. It's sort of okay. It's pretty decent. I think that this is the highlight of this arc, at least in terms of fighting, is between Goku and Yamcha. And Goku kicks Yamcha's tooth out, and that's the end of the fighting. So Yamcha gives them another vehicle, and they decide to track them because they don't have a dragon radar. They go to Fry Pan Mountain and meet Ox King, or Goimao or Ox King. Yamcha runs into Chi-Chi, who is the Ox King's daughter, and when the Ox King sees that Goku has the Noibo from Grandpa Gohan and the Kento Un from Mutant Roshi, he gets Goku to take his daughter Chi-Chi, and they go to Roshi's island to try to get the Basho fan, but Roshi got it dirty and forgot what happened to it. So he uses Godzilla Jr. or Derungo Jr. to go to Fry Pan Mountain, and he powers up. His muscles grow really big, and he fires the Kamehameha, which is a special chi-gathering ninjutsu technique. Oh, you didn't know that the Kamehameha was a ninjutsu technique. Well, you either have never watched Dragon Ball in Japanese, or you're a dubhead. Dubheads don't know anything about nothing. Sorry, dubhead. I think that the highlight of this arc is actually Roshi using the Kamehameha, and then Goku copying him. So Roshi destroys the entire mountain and the Ox King's castle, but they get the Dragon Ball, and Bulma has to do perverted things to Roshi a second time. I'm not going to get into the details. It's very adult stuff. Very adult-like stuff. Then they go to this Persian village where everyone is scared about the Rabbit Gang. And the Rabbit Gang is terrorizing this village, and they have to stop there to get fuel. And basically 2 guys show up with guns, with Tommy guns, and pretty cool martial arts. Goku moves so fast that they can't even see him, And with just a couple of punches and a kick, Goku takes out the goons. Then they call their master Boss Rabbit, who turns Bulma into a carrot. Anything that Boss Rabbit touches becomes a carrot. That's his ninjutsu technique. So Yamcha and Puar step in, and they save Bulma from being eaten by the Boss Rabbit. Goku with the Noibo defeats the Boss Rabbit, and Bulma gets turned back into a human. Yamcha still shy of women. Then they go, and the Dragon Balls are stolen by Soba, who is a henchman of Emperor Pilaf. This is when Emperor Pilaf appears, and it is the most unclimactic things that you could think of. I almost fell asleep reading through the Emperor Pilaf part of this arc. It was very underwhelming and unfunny. And, Akira Toriyama's editor told him that the ratings of his manga were falling. It's really interesting that Akira Toriyama drew Dr. Slump, and Dr. Slump was the #1 highest rated manga on Shonen Jump. And Dr. Slump was still airing episodes when Akira Toriyama began writing Dragon Ball. And it's interesting that Dr. Slump was doing really good, but ratings for Dragon Ball were failing. Dragon Ball was a failing manga at this point. Lesser people were interested in it. And it was not until almost the end of the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai that attention ratings for Dragon Ball finally went back up. Few people were really interested in the first story arc of this. So we have Emperor Pilaf. They steal 5 of their Dragon Balls. Goku, of course, has 1 Dragon Ball. And they walk right into Pilaf's castle, and they get trapped. And in the manga, they remain trapped until Goku transforms into the Ozaru. So they're trapped in a room. They used sleeping gas to get the other Dragon Ball, Goku's grandfather's Dragon Ball. And then they summoned the dragon, and it is a major letdown. As I've already said, the actual summoning of the dragon and Oolong using it to wish for a pair of panties to stop Pilaf from world domination, becoming the ruler of the world, was just really not that interesting. And Goku can just barely fire the Kamehameha. That's actually how Oolong and Puar get out of the dungeon. So Oolong gets a pair of women's panties that he puts on his head. Pilaf is not the ruler of the world, and they're locked into another dungeon where they're going to be roasted alive. And that's when Goku tells them about how his grandfather Gohan told him to never look at a full moon because the Great Ozaru will come out. The Great Ape comes out, and it was actually the Great Ape that killed Goku's grandfather's son Gohan. But despite them trying to not have Goku look at the full moon, he does. And at first it seems like it's a big joke. And then Goku falls under a trance. His heart beating goes faster and faster. And then he grows a pair of fur, and he grows into a gigantic monkey monster. A gigantic, supersized, and very powerful monkey-like beast that basically destroys Emperor Pilaf's castle. Pilaf, Toba, and Mai escape in a plane. Goku, who is an Ozaru, in the Ozaru form, picks up one of the towers and throws it at the plane and blows it up. But Pilaf and his minions survive, and that's really it. Anyways, Goku tries to pick up Bulma. He tears up the castle and smashes a giant tower or radar station. Then he runs and picks up Bulma and is going to either crush Bulma in his hand or eat her. And that's when Yamcha remembers that whenever someone squeezes Goku's tail, he loses strength. So Yamcha squeezes Goku's tail, Puar turns into a pair of scissors and cuts it off, and Goku changes back, and that's it. The next day, they talk about what they're going to do. It turns out that the Dragon Balls turn to stone for 1 year after they scatter, and they have to wait 1 year before the Dragon Radar can detect them. Goku, in 1 year, wants to go try to find his grandfather's 4-star Dragon Ball, which is actually what's going to lead into his next adventure after the 21st Greatest Under the Heavens martial arts tournament. Anyways, Goku wants to go train under Master Roshi, the mutant Roshi, and get stronger. And Bulma, Yamcha, Oolong, Puar. By the way, Bulma and Yamcha are now boyfriend and girlfriend, and they decide to go back to the city. And that's really it. That's the story. That is the entire juxtaposition of the story. So they fly in a rocket ship back to West City, Bulma's hometown, and Goku flies to Master Roshi's island, and that is the first story arc. So that is the Son Goku, or the first Dragon Ball hunt, the first actual adventure story. As you probably guessed, it is not really that great. I enjoyed the early half of the story. I especially enjoyed the stuff about Yamcha and Puar in the desert and Roshi firing the Kamehameha. I really did not care that much about the Boss Rabbit fight or the Emperor Pilaf part of it, where the Emperor Pilaf stuff felt very rushed. It's like one chapter, they're trapped, the Dragon Balls are stolen. Next, the dragon is summoned. What a fart in the wind that was. And then Goku is an Ozaru. Oh, and that's it. It's over with. It's like, wow. There's no fighting. There is no, good guys versus bad guys. It's just everybody, let's try to get the Dragon Balls and make a wish as soon as we can, and that's really it. I mean, that is my breakdown of the Son Goku, the Emperor Pilaf, the Legend of Shenlong, the first Dragon Ball hunt, and yeah, it's pretty pathetic. There is hardly no fighting, there is not really any martial arts or nothing. The Kamehameha does make an appearance, but it's really more of a joke than anything else. It's like, you can't take none of this seriously. None of it can be taken seriously. Of course, Goku does transform into a great Ozaru or a great ape and does some things, but not really a lot. I mean, there's really nothing that goes on in this arc. If you want to skip this arc and just go to the 21st Budokai, be my guest. You're not missing a lot besides how these first cast of characters are introduced into Dragon Ball. But anyways, yeah, a 4 out of 10. I give it a 3 out of 10. I give the first Dragon Ball Hunt arc a 3 out of 10. Alright, I'll look at your comments. Code of Truth says, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was my favorite Zelda. You need to play Twilight Princess. Code of Truth. Try Twilight Princess. You'll enjoy that. Mike says, "What are we smoking tonight?" What are you talking about, Mike? What? Mike, what are you on about? Elazez Seyfitin says, "Where is here?" Thank you so much for auto-correcting me. Alahaz, as if I really cared or gave two shits what you had to say. Verdanian says, "Is that the Zelda with the falling moon?" That's Majora's Mask, Verdanian. That is Majora's Mask. The graphics are a lot the same. Verdanian says, "Co-op tomorrow." Sure. When I get back from church, if you want to. How are you doing, Verdanian? I haven't seen you in a while. Yuan Esteban Pelé says hi. Hey there, Yuan. What is up? All right, so I am your host, Imperator of Forge. This has been my breakdown and review of the first ever Dragon Ball arc, the Emperor Pilaf arc, the Bulma and Goku arc, the first Dragon Ball Hunt arc, whatever you want to call it. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.